Thank you all very much for being here this evening. You are the 12%, you know. Well, as has been said that during the War for Independence, only 12% showed up to participate, but it was that 12% that changed the world. And do you agree with me that we are here to change the world again? I come to this race with a lifetime of experience as an anti-establishment conservative candidate that has been there at all levels of government, from the local school board to the state legislature, to Congress many times during my life, and also to the United Nations, where I've stood strong on principles that we need to restore today. I know how to get things done. I know how to coalition. I know how to put the greatest advisors around me. And I know how to stand on principle and win in the court of public opinion first, because that's the way you have to do it. You know, Margaret Thatcher once said, "We shall stand on principle or we will not stand at all." Do you agree? Yeah. Right. So here are three things. We need to bring our jobs back home, and we need to balance this budget, and we need welfare reform. Now, let me quickly go through those. As far as jobs are concerned, this is a states' rights issue. I helped form the very first states' rights coalition here in Utah in 2009, and honestly, it went through a series of morphs, but thanks to Michelle and others, it has now become Utah United, and I'm grateful to be involved with so many good people there. This is about overregulation and overtaxation of our domestic industries that cannot compete globally. And then we have to allow those corporations that are struggling to be able to get a Section 201 dispensation of 5 years to be able to come back and strengthen, and that's through our Trade Act. We have to implement that. Another thing that I would look at doing is very prominently supporting these 4 bills that just came out of our state legislature to protect our land. Over 70% of our land is owned, managed, and controlled by the federal government, and that is wrong and unconstitutional. And we need to stand up and speak out against the Environmental Protection Agency and downsize it and phase it out. There are 4 laws that need to be phased out, downsized, and they are the Lacey Act, the Wilderness Act, the Antiquities Act, and the Endangered Species Act, at a time when we have 11% and rising unemployment, and the most endangered species to most people are now, where is their next job going to come from? Another thing is immigration. It is undermining our wages in this country. We are the most benevolent and compassionate nation in the world. We bring in legally a million immigrants every year, but they come here to only 200,000 jobs. We have so much unemployment. We have to revisit what we're doing with immigration as well. Let's talk about balancing the budget. We need to audit and prioritize the ABCs in Washington, D.C., from the Department of Agriculture to the Zero-Based Budgeting Agency, and I made that one up. Anyway, that's about what it sounds like in Washington. The Citizens Against Government Waste, and I have copies of this for anyone who wants it, have a prime cut spending list, and it would cut $1.7 trillion from our budget. And if we just look at the waste alone in these agencies, and so that's an approach that I would take there. Let's talk about, and any of those agencies that are duplicated on the federal level, we need to downsize them and let the states do those functions, because the government closest to the people is the government that does it best. All right. Let me speak for just a moment about Obamacare. I'm the coordinator for Utah for the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons. In 2010, right after Obamacare passed, I went on the radio and I conducted 2 national conference calls with thousands of people on the call. And I called on the American Medical Association and I said, doctors, you have got to withdraw your memberships from that association. Well, the AMA called me the next day. They weren't too happy. But I said, okay, so explain this to me. Why did you abandon your industry when you endorsed Obamacare? You know what they said? If we weren't sitting around that negotiating table, they would eat our lunch. Do you know what their lunch is? It's the CPT codes that are on every procedure. They get a royalty every time you go to that doctor with Medicare. And so, my friends, I'm pleased to announce that after all of that, in 2011, the AMA announced that it had lost 12,000 members. And that's the kind of representation you're going to get. Quickly, welfare reform. I only have a minute left. There is a connection between the fiscal and the social. 53% of Medicaid right now is going to teen unwed moms. And we have 90% of single moms on some kind of welfare. Between 25 and over 70% of babies are being born out of wedlock right now. And this is the first time in the history of our nation that more children are being raised in single-parent homes and divorced homes than ever before. This is not sustainable. And if you can get that connection, you will understand what it means when we say, when the family falls, the nation falls. We have got to restore public virtue in this nation. And we have got to, each one of us here, be that 12%. Go into our communities. Teach our children to do the right thing. Bring the concepts of self-reliance and self-governance back so that we don't have this entitlement generation. I'm Cherilyn Eagar, and I hope that I can count on your vote. Thank you so much.